Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Mike Luke, joined by the great Greg Biggins, national recruiting analyst for 24/7 Sports. Greg, we're going to give you a lot of pats on the back during this show today.
Don't need it. No.
Oh, you do.
I've missed as much as I've gotten right. So I'll take the wins, but I can get them, though.
All right. Well, we are going to talk about your wins right here. Noah Fifita has absolutely taken this city by storm. He's taken the West Coast by storm. A lot of people didn't know what to really expect. You got a 5'8" quarterback out there. But Greg, just tell everybody out there what you've watched over the years. And I can tell that you're not totally surprised by what's going on.
Yeah, no, I think, well, first off, you call him a 5'8" quarterback. He's like 5'11" in the media guide. So you just took away 3 inches.
Definitely not 5'11".
I love Noah, love his mom and dad, love the whole family. And I when I first saw him, well, obviously saw him as an 8th grader. I don't ever scout 8th graders, but he played for the OC Buckeyes, one of the elite Pop Warner teams. His dad, Les, kind of runs that whole organization. And so he came into Servite, and him and T-Mac were already kind of being talked about as being kind of not just good, but special. And watched them at a couple of 7-on-7 tournaments. And everyone who watched them just kind of said, these guys are different. Obviously with Noah, there was always the size concern. T-Mac was, he always was what he was, right? A freaky 6'3" athlete who can, jump and both sides, two-way talent. I'm sure we'll talk about T-Mac in a little bit, but Noah, I'll give him 5'9", right? Let's give him 5'10" in cleats, right? Let's do that. But size was never an issue at the high school level. I never thought it would be an issue at the college level. Now you're talking, at the NFL draft, which, that's how our rankings are done, which is an NFL draft projection. That's where, Noah wasn't going to be rated as high as other kids. But as a high school quarterback, I always said this, I'm a Game of Thrones guy. And if I had to have a guy, fight to the death for me, if I had to have a quarterback that I wanted to say, okay, my death is on the line, I want Noah Fifita in this game if my life depended on, because man, he does everything right. He's smart, football IQ off the charts. Again, credit his pops, credit playing for the Buckeyes at a young age. He's never been flustered or nervous. The game has never been too big. And you saw it as a freshman playing in the Trinity League, but you should make a case. It's the toughest league in the country. Yeah. As a freshman, he came in there and already was making plays. And in his sophomore, junior, senior year, he was one of the nation's elite quarterbacks. And again, now, did I expect him to come in and do so well this early? Maybe not, but I'm not surprised by it either, because, again, the game's not going to be too big for him. And all the things that you want to see in a college quarterback in terms of decision-making, being smart with the ball, being accurate with the ball, having better arm talent than given credit for because of his size. The guy can rip the football, so he's always had that going for him. Again, the process in the game is always the biggest thing that a young quarterback needs to do to be able to play early in college. And he's able to process the game like a fourth-year junior as opposed to a true sophomore. So I'm so happy for him.
I think you hit the nail on the head about his arm strength. I think a lot of people see the diminutive size and you say, well, he probably can't throw. He can make every throw that is needed. And what really intrigues me too is the different angles he can make these throws from. And I think that's probably a big kudos to Les right there with working on him on that. But he can get outside of the pocket, and he made a throw against Washington State on a sidearm throw down the sideline where he split the safety and the cornerback. And there's not a lot of QBs on the West Coast or in the country that can make that. And Greg, I mean, he's got a really special arm talent. Forget about the size or anything.
Really, really strong lower body, right? And I think that's what with the elite arm talent. You watch an Aaron Rodgers, a Pat Mahomes. They don't need you call it a reset or a hitch. They can off their back foot just sidearm flick it 40 yards. Noah's not able to really do that, but when he steps into his throw, right? Consider it like it's baseball, like a center fielder with a crow hop, right? Noah, he'll hitch it, or he'll, reset, take that step. When he steps into his throws, his arm is strong as anyone's. So he may not be able to back foot it 50 like a Mahomes, but when he steps into the pocket, then you see the arm, and it's really live for sure.
What's wild too is how everybody eats now. And again, Jaden DeLora did some really good stuff here at the U of A, so not a diss at JDL at all. But everybody now gets into the mix with Noah Fifita. It's not just to T-Mac or to Jacob Cowing. Kevin Green now is getting some action. AJ Jones is getting some catches. Malachi Riley as well. Basically, if you're open, Noah's going to find you.
And again, I don't have a dog in the fight. But I personally, I know that's kind of been, who plays this week, who should have played, who starts. Man, I just ride Noah, right? I mean, what do you? You're not gonna, be a playoff team. So you want to win games now, but you also want to develop. And I think Noah's good enough where, man, you could win big with him if you give him the last 8 games. I'm not even good at math. I don't know how many games are left. 6 games, 7, whatever. Just ride it out with him, and I think it's going to pay off next year and then the year after that. And again, not a knock on Jaden at all. I think he's really talented as well. But, if he's at 100%, I think right now the team, obviously, and I've watched every game just because I want to see Jacob Manu and Riley and all those guys, AJ. Those are SoCal kids that I've kind of grown close to, especially Noah and T-Mac. So I've been watching them, and Noah helps you win games. It's not just about building for the future. I mean, he's the guy who can win right now. And, the USC game, shoot, that was his game to win. Would have been one of the biggest wins in Arizona history. Then he goes out and blows out a good Washington State team. So, man, I'm saying ride with Noah. Like you said, man, he's doing a nice job spreading the ball around, getting guys. He's able to throw guys open. He's so smart. He's not making a lot of freshman mistakes. He's not a freshman anymore, but he's not making the big mistakes. He's making big plays. And like I said, they're winning a lot of games. They're being very effective. And, man, it's fun to watch him.
All right. Now, Jacob Manu, that's another pat on the back for you. We had you on before Jacob Manu's freshman year, and you said, listen, he's not a physical freak per se, but he has the ability to see what a play is developing. His IQ is off the charts as well. He was a freshman All-American this past year. Looks like he's going to probably be a multi-year all-conference performer. Talk a little bit about Jacob Manu right there, Greg.
Yeah, just tough, right? And that's the one skill set that I think translates over everything. I've seen small guys make it. I've seen slow guys make it. I've never seen a soft kid make it. You got to be tough and physical and violent at that linebacker position. And just watching him at the high school level. Again, if you're playing inside linebacker, I think the biggest thing for you is your football instincts and your IQ. Get really well coached over there at Servite. He came into Arizona. And again, I think that's kind of where playing, high-level Trinity League football has helped him. I think it helps your adjustment because you've already played against elite D1 players for the last couple of years, but just he's very instinctive. He runs well, loves to hit. He's got that edge. He's got that little bit of a nastiness to him. But the biggest thing for him is just he's so smart. He's so tough. He's so physical. He does not miss. Like you mentioned, man, just seems to be like a wonder step ahead of everybody else. That's what an inside linebacker is supposed to be. Just read and react.
Right now, all right, T-Mac. T-Mac's already the best wide receiver that's ever come to the U of A. You are obviously very high on him as well. Has anything he's done surprised you at all?
No, not at all. And I've said this before, and I probably sound dumb. I think honestly, if you would have put him at safety, he would have been just as effective.
Right.
Just his ability, again, at multi-sport athleticism is something that we're big on. And I think you watch him play, he literally looks like a volleyball player, man. The way he goes up, and it's not just his vertical leap is so good, but his timing on jump balls is unbelievable, right? He does not miss. Ability to go up with one hand. He was a little top 100 volleyball prospect, and his timing is unreal. He's got strong hands. Again, the knock on T-Mac was, he caught so many contested catches in high school. It's kind of like, well, can you do that in college, number one? And number two, why are all your catches contested? Give me some separation, T-Mac, right? Like at the elite high school receiver, you see some of the guys, they're open by 3 yards. So it was, did he have the requested top end speed? Did he have the initial burst to get himself open? He looks way more explosive now than he did back in high school. Obviously, credit the strength and conditioning program at U of A, but you're seeing him get some separation. You're seeing him get deep. But the special qualities that he has are always going to be probably the best jump ball, contested 50-50 ball catcher that I've ever seen.
Right. All right. Now we got to talk about this 2022 recruiting class. It was obviously highly rated, but in hindsight, it might have even been underrated. So you got Noah Fifita, Jacob Manu, T-Mac, Jonah Coleman, Ephesians Prysock, Jonas Sabanea, Takario Davis, Speedy Luke, Wendell Moe, Kevin Green, AJ Jones, Tai Uiagalelei, Jacob Kangaika, Isaiah Ward. This is something that we're not used to seeing around here, Greg.
Hey, man, everybody, all those guys are playing, right?
Yes.
You just off their whole recruiting class. No, I mean, Sabanea is a one that we'll take a huge L on. You know, we'll blame it on COVID. Just didn't get to see him. But we all said, you know what, he goes to the Polynesian Bowl and kills it there. The guy should be a 4-star. We saw him, liked him, and still didn't make the jump. So, I mean, he is an NFL guy for sure. We missed on that one for sure, which, again, I don't know why we saw it with Jonah. Coleman, man, he's a beast. He's running hard. Speedy Luke was always that, you know, that change of pace, all-purpose guy with speed to burn, can score from anywhere. I'd say the biggest surprise for me, and it sounds kind of odd because we had him as a 4-star, was Prysock.
Right.
You know, I saw him a lot as a senior, and you know, he had the great length. You know, we love to see length in corners. He was 6'2", but just didn't always look as hungry or as competitive. I think a lot of it was just because his personality is very soft-spoken, very introverted, right? He's kind of like the opposite, whereas you see a Jacob Manu, who's just got huge personality, plays so dang hard, fiery guy. Prysock, you couldn't really tell. Did he love football? Did he love the game? He looks like, and I talked to, you know, one of the top corners in the 2025 class yesterday, Dejon Lee from Mission Viejo, who just visited Washington, but his top two are Washington and Arizona. And he said a big part of the reason why he likes Arizona is because he's seen their development at DB, and it mentioned specifically Prysock and how good he is now, and just kind of where his game is trending. So hats off to Ephesians. Great name.
Great name.
I love the name, but I love the game right now as well.
By the way, we have the best biblical team going right now. We have Ephesians Prysock, Genesis Smith, Noah Fifita, Jonah, multiple Jonahs right now. We take a back seat to nobody when it comes to the Bible there.
Right? Maybe that's why the arrow's trending in that direction right now, right?
For sure. Now let's talk a little bit about Takario Davis. He's another one. Really long kid. I'll be honest, watching him in spring last year, I thought, okay, you're going to have to move him to safety. Probably going to be some, I didn't really see the proverbial flip of the hips. But man, he's come back, and the last 2, 3, 4 weeks has been lights out outside of the SC game. He's a long-term guy that now you start wondering, how far can he really take this one?
Yeah, no, another kid, you know, played at Milliken, Romeo Pelham. His coach is a friend of mine. I remember like it was yesterday having the conversation. Hey, just a heads up, Takaro's going to commit to Arizona this weekend. You know, he committed on his trip or shortly after that. And we're both saying like, dude, that's a great spot. Like, because he didn't have a whole lot of action outside of that. We're like, dude, jump on that offer. That might be the biggest one he gets. He was always good. You know, again, he had the body, talked about the length already with Prysock, but just the I don't know how you describe it. Just, you don't see a lot of guys, and I'm not calling him stiff, but a lot of guys that you might label kind of in that, you know, that are, we're just going to say it. Okay. Some guys just look, if they look a little stiff in high school, it's hard to get guys flexible. It's almost like just the way your body is, right? It's hip flexors and whatnot. But again, credit UA and their strength conditioning, because he's a lot more fluid athletically now than he was in high school. A lot of times as you get bigger, you don't always get more fluid, right? A lot of times you get bigger, you kind of, if you're stiff, you get even a little bit more stiff. So maybe he's doing some yoga. I don't know, but he looks good. I think he definitely looks like an NFL prospect right now. So another guy I'm really happy for, and was a great kid. These are all high character kids, and let's not overlook that, right? Noah Fifita, we all know what a great guy he is. I saw T-Mac being interviewed by Yogi Roth a couple days ago. When I first talked to T-Mac, he had his head down. He couldn't speak. He was so shy and so quiet. Now he's laughing, doing interviews. It's kind of cool to see his personality. But Jacob Manu and all those guys, man, just really good, solid kids. Speedy looks, salt of the earth, all those guys. So it's easy to root for those kind of kids.
It seems to me, too, that this staff has a next-level recruiting eval ability to it, because some of the players, too, are under-the-radar guys. Tai Uiagalelei, Jacob Kangaika came in here originally as a preferred walk-on, and he balled out against Washington State. And I remember what Jedd Fisch said. He said, listen, if we're going to miss on kids, we're going to miss on kids that are big or that they're fast, or preferably both. And a lot of these guys, Wendell Moe's another one. Yeah. These are guys who are just, they're big, and Arizona's been able to develop them.
And you got to trust your coaches. You got to trust your eye. They took a cornerback yesterday, Kamari Shemwell from Long Beach Poly, same school Wendell Moe's from. And I didn't even realize it till I looked. I'm wearing a Pauly
I
shirt.
saw it right there. Yeah.
Some schools, hating on me for doing this. I'm not trying to promote anybody, but no, Schemmel, he's a stock up guy for sure. Raheem Wright, again, not sure where he's rated. Both those guys stock up for sure. But no, I think that the key with Arizona is two things that you said kind of jumped out for me. Number one is you want to bet on physical tools and upside, right? And so that would almost counter, a guy like, Jacob Manu wasn't big or wasn't, dynamically fast, athletic, but he's a great football player. Right. But if you have two guys that are equal and, one guy maybe a little more productive in high school, other guy bigger, stronger, faster, go with the upside, go with the tools, right? So that's what I think they did with some of those guys from Mater Dei and Wendell. And then also, man, trust your ability to develop, because you're not going to really out recruit Alabama. T-Mac could have played for Bama, but you're not going to able to get that same kid. So what do? You go for the next best guy. You go for the guy that we think we see him, he fits our system, and we get him in our, Oakland A's like for years, right? Hey, we'll develop the guy, and he'll be just as good as that next guy. That was kind of what, Chip Kelly hasn't really worked out for them. When he first got there, people will scratch their heads going, why is UCLA recruiting such different kids? They're not going after the high level guys. Well, they felt, hey, we'll get the 3-star and we'll develop him into a 5. Like I said, it hasn't worked, but if you develop really, really well, like Arizona's doing, I think it helps out. You don't have to deal with some of the nonsense, some of the NIL issues probably, and you get better kids that want to be there, that want to be coached, and aren't going to take off at the slide of sign. So I think what Jedd's doing is a good thing.
And the way that he's stockpiling depth is interesting too, especially on the offensive line. You look at a player like an Elijah Payne or a Tylen Gonzalez. These guys also kind of fit that bill. A Raymond Polito, who was starting before, obviously had some injuries. There's some guys, that some big dudes that probably are about a year away from being significant contributors as well.
I think you want to take 5 every year. And now I see some schools, they'll take maybe 2 or 3. And if you want to save, maybe 2 spots for portal, I get it. But I think every recruiting class, you take 5, and people say, well, shoot, those numbers, how heck you can't have that many. Trust me, those guys always wash out. And there's never a school that said, we have too many good offensive linemen. You've never heard anyone ever say that. And it's weird. Like, I don't care if it's Bama or Ohio State or Georgia, like the bust rate for a high level O-line is higher than any other position. And we can talk forever about why. But my point being, not to belabor it, but I think you can never have too many good guys. And, again, I bet on athleticism. Everybody's big, but go get me guys that can move. Maybe they're 250, but you can add some good weight if they can move. There's a stat where 1 year or 2, I think there was like 3 years in a row where in the first round, there were more tight ends who played tight end in high school who converted to O-line and were drafted than 300-pound guys in high school who were drafted. It's an athletic position. You need guys that can move around. And I bring depth on both sides, not just O-line, but give me some big D tackles. Bring in 3 or 4 of those guys every single year as well, if you can.
What do you think about Kevin Green? He's a player that whenever he gets on the field, as whether it's been in scrimmage or whether it's been in game, especially with Noah Fifita, seems to get open.
Yeah, no, dog, complete. Like, he's a tough man. He talk about a guy who loves football. Mikael Wright's his brother, played at Oregon, a kid I loved. And, I think Kevin could have been a two-way guy. I think you put him on the field at corner or at safety. He plays so hard that I think I went to 2 of his games and he knocked himself out both of them because he's playing safety and he's flying downhill like he's Ronnie Lott, but he's only like 165, 70 pounds, but he's playing like he's 220. So no matter where you put him, he's going to make plays. I think he's got some dynamic ability with the ball in his hand. He's always been that guy who can stretch the field. He's always been very dependable. He's always been pretty pure with the hands as well as in terms of being a natural pass catcher. So, man, receiver, corner, nickel, you can move him around, do a lot of different things, return punts and kicks. I've always been a big fan of his game.
Now, Jonah Coleman was somebody when he came in, I didn't know exactly what to expect. He's obviously very well put together, obviously, but I didn't know, is he going to be more of a change of pace, just kind of a thumper, or is he going to be able to be an every down back? And right now, we love Michael Wiley, DJ Williams. This is the dude, and this is the dude going forward right here, Greg. I mean, he's killing it every single game. What have you seen from Jonah as opposed to what you saw in high school?
Yeah, no, he always been big. The question was burst. He's going to go to college. He's going to probably put on some more weight. Those holes close quickly, right? You got to be able to, you can be big and powerful. And if you get through the line of scrimmage, that's great. But can you get through the line of scrimmage? And so I think what I've been surprised by is better initial quickness. We call it short area burst, right? Better short area burst, get through the holes than I expected. And then once it gets downhill, who wants to deal with that kid, right? He's a 220-pound banger that just wears you down. So the bump up in athleticism has been a pleasant surprise. Always had it just natural running back instinct. I'm not trying to put down running back coaches, but I've always felt that that's the one position where the great running backs, it's more instinct. You can't teach or coach a running back. Okay, the guy coming from your blind that you can't see, you have to feel that. You can't coach a guy to feel pressure where it's coming from. You just have to have an innate ability to fill a hole and to see it and hit it hard. That either that's God-given or it's not. And I think Jonah has it, and all the really good running backs have that.
What is Arizona getting in Jordan Washington next year?
Speed. I'm not sure what he's going to run this year. I think he ran 10.4 last year. Look at a guy that will be the fastest player on the field in almost every single game. He's been nicked up almost the whole year, unfortunately, because he had a big junior season. Right. And then this year, I couldn't wait to see him. I went out to see him a couple of times, and both times he was out. Got a little bit of a hamstring injury. He's kind of coming back right now, but a legitimate home run hitter. I would say similar to Speedy Luke, maybe a little bigger than Speedy. Speedy, I think maybe been a little more physical player despite not being as big. But speed, punt return, kick return. And like I said, start him off, maybe more of a third down all-purpose guy, but, a true game breaker for sure.
All right, you see all the coaching staffs in the conference and whatnot, and where would you put Arizona as far as just, ranking them as far as evaluation, work ethic, all of that stuff?
Yeah, no, up there, right? Again, I don't want to get calls from other staffs by saying, Arizona's number one when it comes, I'm not going to do that. But they're very good. I see them, and it's not just their staff. They got a really good support staff too. Got to shout out my boy Mondo Hawkins, who I covered when he was playing in high school. It's kind of cool to see those guys that I cover. They're now on college staffs, but no, they work hard. I think you look at the development, but you got to see them to really be able to know, evaluate them properly. And you see these guys, you see them out all the time. It's a good staff. It's a friendly staff. Getting known Johnny Nansen forever, like Jay Rich a lot. I don't want to start naming names. I'm going to forget some coaches. Obviously, Jedd Fisch, I think is a great guy as well. So, no, good staff that works hard and, really believes in what they're doing.
All right, Arizona going off to the Big 12. What do you think about that? And it's because this is kind of a loaded team going into next year, to be honest. There's not a lot of seniors on this roster. I mean, I could imagine Arizona being really, really good next year.
It should be really good. And I'll be honest, I'm disappointed. I'm a Pac-12, Pac-10 homer going way, way back. It's going to be weird watching, Arizona play over here and Oregon over there. And,
right.
It was fun for me, right? Not just in football, but I'm all the Olympic sports even. I was a fan of the Pac-10, Pac-12. So, but, Big 12, I think it's wide open. I'm a fan of Utah. Everything we said about Arizona in terms of development and coaching, man, Utah has taken that and ran with it. They don't get the elite guys all the time, but great job of evaluating development, talking about the Utes. So I'm curious to see how they do in the Big 12, but no, I think Arizona's got a great chance. You look recruiting wise, they should be able to recruit. Obviously got some Texas schools in the Big 12, a lot of talent in Texas, but I think Arizona, they got a chance to be really good.
Right. He is the great Greg Biggins from 24/7. Greg, national recruiting analyst, been doing this forever. You're the man. As always, really appreciate your time, dude.
Anytime. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. He's Greg Biggins right there, 24/7, lead national recruiting analyst. All right. Let's get a couple reads in here and then digest some of what Greg had to say. But first, all right, couple things. BetMGM. I'm telling all of you, you need to bet on BetMGM because Arizona, take the over. I think Arizona could win the Big 12 next year right there. Check it out. Sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10. You will receive you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for details. Let's hear from the great Shane Diefenbach with the disclaimer.
Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
All right, there it is. BetMGM, take the over, though, for the Pac-12, or take the over of Arizona whenever we tell you to. And one more thing before we get to what Greg said, Circle K, the Inner Circle. Join Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. All right, what was fascinating to me and what I really took away from what Greg said, and again, Greg has been doing this for a long, long time. And he's the best in the business, in my opinion. He kept talking about how some of these players got a new level of burst, a new level of explosion that he didn't necessarily think that they might be able to get. Jonah Coleman, for example, and I'll be honest, I was the same way. When I saw Jonah Coleman last year, I figured that he was going to be somewhat of a thumper. I thought, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I thought that he was going to be the dude who was essentially able to, get a couple yards here and there and maybe be a spot starter. I just didn't know that he had that quick level initial burst that Greg talked about. When he gets out to the outside, not only can he run past somebody, he can run by them. And I think that's what's unique about Jonah Coleman. You don't generally see guys who are 5'8", 225 pounds who are able to do that exact thing. And it's only getting better. And the thing about Coleman, when you watch him, he also has kind of that bell cow mentality that the more you feed him, the more that he is going to continue to play, the more that he's going to continue to get that burst. Just a really good player. And then he brought up Ephesians Prysock and Tacario Davis as well. Listen, whenever you have two corners who are 6'2", 6'3", 205, 210 pounds, a lot of times you're just going to have to worry. Are they quick enough? Are they going to be able to have that burst to stay with smaller wide receivers? And Ephesians Prysock obviously has that in spades. You can just tell by watching him in practice. Tacario Davis is the one that I didn't see coming. I thought Tacario Davis at 6'3" was probably just a little too big for the spot, and I didn't necessarily see that one emerging. But now he's a corner. He's not a safety. He's a corner, and he's going to continue to do that. And Arizona at that cornerback spot is pretty much the I would like to see a better group of young cornerbacks in the conference. And again, that feels weird to say. Twin Turbo Infinity. I did not ask Greg about Del Taco. Maybe next time I will. But you know what I should have asked him about was Illegal Pete's. Illegal Pete's, very good food. I might go to Illegal Pete's later today, actually, because I live in the area. All right, so here's the deal with Illegal Pete's. Check out actually, hold on. Where is my read at right here? EFGHI. All right. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot this summer. Stop by for happy hour, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day at all 12 locations. Illegal Pete's, the go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer for 28 years. And FOCO. All right. Now, we're going to get to the Pac-12 schedule and what Arizona is going to be able to do. But first, FOCO. FOCO always has our back for Arizona sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by visiting FOCO.com and use code PHNX for all non-presale items. Use the promo code PHNX for 10% off, my friends. 10% off right there. All right, looking around the conference, and again, maybe this is just me being a homer, but I would like to see a team, and again, SC, I get all of that. But I don't know that there's a team in the Big 12 going forward that has better young talent than Arizona. Listen, Utah's always going to be a really good de facto pick to win because Utah's really good. Kyle Whittingham is the man, obviously. But the Arizona's coming at you. Just think about this for a second. Arizona's coming at you with a quarterback you're going to have for 3 years that we have a pretty good idea is good. An undergrad running back who probably is an NFL dude, a T-Mac who's going to be off to the NFL after a year, Kean Burnett, who we haven't even talked about, probably going to be your tight end. You have an offensive line across the board from Big Jonah Savaiinaea. Savaiinaea is coming back. Wendell Moe. You get Polito back. Josh Baker for another year. And then you flip over to the other side of the football, and you've got a defensive line where you got Deuce Davis, Isaiah Ward, Uiagalelei, Manoa, Kangaika. I can just keep going. Linebacker, Manu, obviously, Justin Flo. And then we talked about the secondary. This is an absolutely loaded team going forward. And it's something that almost kind of crept up overnight when you think about it. I mean, I didn't necessarily think that this would happen as quickly as it did. But listen, Arizona is in a very good position to finish the year with 7 wins. And I think if you told anybody that you would be able to get 1, then 5, then 7 wins, they would look at that as a huge, huge improvement, especially dealing with expectations right there, because I don't think that anybody expected that. I know that I didn't expect that. And honestly, I don't think that really anybody else has any idea about that as well. I think Arizona can win the Big 12 next year. I really do. And B-Cat right here says, every week the Arizona football team is looking stronger and stronger. Dude, that's the best way to put it. And as opposed to Colorado, which is looking weaker and weaker. Now, listen, I'm wrong on a lot of things. I never really bought into the whole Colorado thing. I do think Dion's done a really good job there, changing the culture, getting some wins. But I also think that Colorado's not very good, to be honest with you. And I think that Arizona is going to be able to beat Colorado. And if you want to watch the game and look cool in the process, why don't you wear some pins and aces as well? Check out pinsandaces.com and use code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com, the official golf apparel of PHNX and ALLCITY. Now, let's talk a little bit about the 2023 class. It wasn't nearly as highly rated, but there's going to be a lot of keepers in this class as well. I think the first ones you look at are some of the players we talked about. Elijah Payne, Tylen Gonzalez. I mean, heck, you could even go with Rhino in there as well. Those are 3 offensive linemen that I think Arizona has a good chance of hitting on at least 2 of those. And not only do I think they have a good chance of hitting on 2 of those, I think they probably will hit on 2 of those. Then you look, I think Malachi Riley is going to be very good. I like Jackson Holman as well. Obviously, Brandon Johnson hasn't even hit the field this year. There's a lot of different players right there to like. Genesis Smith, same thing. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that in the 2024 class as well. The 23 class. I'm getting all my dates mixed up right here. Genesis Smith, another dude who I think by the time it's done is going to be an all-conference type performer. Jedd Fisch just really did it. And not only did he do it, it's only going to get better from here, everybody. So I think that's the part that I think is very exciting if you're an Arizona fan. And I don't know, and I put this out on Twitter the other day, have we ever seen a time when Arizona football and Arizona basketball have been on a better plateau or a better precipice than they are right now with Jedd Fisch and with Tommy Lloyd? I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know that I am, though. Maybe I am, but I don't think so. Also, it's a great time to become a PHNX diehard right now. You can sign up for PHNX diehards. You can go to gophnx.com. You can become a diehard. You can go to events, cool watch parties, get merch, Discord chats, all kinds of writing, all kinds of cool stuff. Become a PHNX diehard today. All right. Little bit of a shorter show. We're going to make up for it with you tomorrow. We're going to talk a bunch of Arizona football and Arizona basketball. And remember, everybody, lock this into your calendar. Friday, we're going to have a post-game show for Arizona basketball. The game is not on TV, but it's streamed through the U of A. So make sure to watch that. And then we'll be hopping on with you here about 9 o'clock, something like that. But for the great Greg Biggins, really appreciate his time. Everybody on there with your comments, you all are absolutely fantastic. Eric behind the scenes, making me sound much cooler than I ever should. Appreciate all of you. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10:30 sharp. You have been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.